adopted cat in the shelters of New York City, Gizmo would have been euthanized, destroyed, because he was on the kill list. And the reason I'm bringing Gizmo today with my wife Nancy is, as you know, I've dedicated a large part of my campaign to saying that if the new people of New York City elected...
Curtis, there's a podium over there, all right?
Okay.
Let's do this. Yeah.
So it's one thing you're doing as mayor to what's going to do tomorrow this week. First, go back to rehire all the new cops, firefighters, sanitation, eventually healthcare workers, teachers. You know they're that great. That has to be done. We've got to right the wrong. We've got to right the wrong. We've got to take this seriously.
How would you continue? How would you go forward if you don't win?
Yeah, we go. This is much better, right? Well,
What's the cat's name?
Gizmo.
Stand behind the mic, sir.
How old is Gizmo?
Do you mind if I switch places?
Oh, I don't mind.
Oh, it is. It's the kid. No. You're allowed to do that too.
Thank you.
How are you feeling today?
Well, personally, physically not good. I'm in a lot of pain, but I'm able to get through. I've had much worse, as many of you know, in my life, and it's nothing compared to the pain that a lot of our fellow residents are going through today. I'm thinking of all the firefighters, police officers, sanitation workers, especially the healthcare workers that I've seen in the last 2 days, and teachers, who are fighting. No means of income. Can't even go out and get another job. Can't apply for unemployment. And we turn these heroes into heroes. Thinking back to that time when the healthcare workers crawled into the belly of the beach every day to save people. Didn't have the proper equipment. Our government didn't prepare them. And they did that every day as essential workers. And then sometimes brought the disease to themselves, killing them, making them seriously ill, and bringing it back to their families. Many of them have been fired. Likewise, police officers, firefighters, sanitation workers. So on this day, which is so important, obviously, for the future of New York City, with the election of the new mayor, I really think it pales into comparison to what we've done to these heroes who've been turned into zeros. And likewise, if I am fortunate enough to be elected mayor on January 2nd, I roll back those mandates. I get all of these heroes, these men and women, so valiant, so brave, get them their back pay, and then we have a second march through the Canyon of Heroes for all of those who've been kicked to the curb because they've had insult and injury. As you know, one of my key platforms in this campaign, first ever, animal welfare, is to end the no-kill shelters. Both I and my wife Nancy brought Gizmo here to the vote this morning. I wish you could vote for me, because I think I would win the animal vote when you look at all the demographics. But there will be no more kill shelters. We kill thousands of dogs, cats, and other animals in the animal care and control shelter system of New York, which we subsidize with millions and millions of dollars. Here's a perfect example. Gizmo was on the kill list. Thank God my wife was able to see Gizmo, because Gizmo was to have been euthanized, destroyed, as a result of having a fungus that had rendered Gizmo incapable of seeing, almost like to the point I'm falling, I can't get up. and they were prepared to euthanize, to destroy. Nancy, like a lot of other rescuers, there are a lot of heroic men and women out there who go unrecognized, who rush to these animal care and control shelters and save these animals. But they're not enough because they only keep them 72 hours. And in 72 hours, even Governor Hochul could not issue a reprieve to save Gizmo or any of the cats and dogs and animals. So I know a lot of people have laughed at me. That, oh, you're quite eccentric or crazy to have 17 rescue cats in a 328 square foot apartment right here in the Upper West Side. But as Gandhi said, go ahead, laugh at Gandhi. Gandhi said, a society that does not treat its animals well will not treat its human beings well. And we can see that as emotionally disturbed persons and homeless people have been kicked to the curb. They're living in our parks, they're living in our subways, they're living in our streets in inhumane conditions. And that's the other key platforms. That ain't happening. I'm compassionate, I'm caring. We're gonna rescue the emotionally disturbed and the homeless and the dogs, cats, and animals who get slaughtered.
Mr. Sliwa, getting back to the mandate, do you feel like that's where a lot of the energy now has been coming from the campaign? Is that where you think will help turn this in your favor, do you think?
I'm not even looking at it for that. I'm sure that probably most people were in favor of the mandate. I haven't done a poll on that. I just think it's the right thing to do, the moral thing to do, the humane thing to do. I mean, here were the heroes. We relegated them to zeros.
What do you think will help you, though, but win this? You're obviously an underdog, you're facing an uphill battle. What do you think will win this
Well,
fight?
obviously, it's the cumulative fact that I've gone into neighborhoods where the only Republican they've ever seen is Abraham Lincoln on a $5 bill and been well received. That's because I've been there before time and time again. People, they don't view me as a Republican. I'm also on the independent party line, which will definitely help with those who would never vote for a Republican. I think they view me as Curtis Sliwa, a man of the people, a guy who's been there before, who's on the subways, who's in the streets, who's in the public housing complexes all the time. So it's not just for campaign time, but sometimes politicians do the photo ops. But in this particular case, I think for whatever negative you may think of me, I have the street cred that millions of dollars can't buy. You have to earn that.
Curtis, can I ask you, you've been in the public eye a long time. Did you ever think you would vote for yourself for mayor?
Why do you think I'm voting for myself?
Are you voting for yourself today on the independent line or the Republican line?
Of course, I'm voting for myself. That's right. I hadn't even thought of that. Which line should I vote for?
Conservative.
No, I'm not on the conservative line.
So
That's an interesting thing.
Does it feel surreal to be the nominee for mayor and to be voting for yourself?
Oh, there's no question. In my wildest dreams, I've never ever contemplated that. I know my opponent, Eric Adams, has said he's been planning this for like 30 years. You know, that's been one of his goals in life, was to become mayor of the city of New York. That was never a goal in my life, but because of all the things that happened under de Blasio, who has been a friend and ally of Eric Adams, who helped him get the Democratic nomination, it was clear to me as the last person who actually ran in March that it was about crime, it was about the emotionally disturbed, the homeless, and especially the animals.
Curtis, quick question. If not as mayor, how would you continue serving the city?
We want to know what uniform clause was essential. We didn't get any hazardous pay. We didn't get barely any listening about everything was different because the people. What did you get from?
No, you're absolutely correct. I've been learning a lot, not only from the teachers who've been fired, but other school personnel. First and foremost, I'm probably closest to the school safety officers who very heroically just recovered 6 guns in 1 week. Right, and we need far more
Right now,
safety
we're
security
short-staffed.
officers.
They're killing us in the kitchen. We're not making enough money.
Well,
Eric Adams de Blasio built B+.
yeah, I mean, at this point, de Blasio is the person who controls the Department of Education, and Eric Adams has not been a critic of his at all, whereas I've been a critic of how he's run the Department of Education.
Curtis, if not as
I have
mayor-
family members who've suffered being fired after saving thousands of lives in cancer units, and they're being fired, and they can't get unemployment. So what you
said is very moving to people like us. Immunologists, nurses, who are experts on the virus, who have COVID, who have antibodies, are being forced out onto the street, being forced to move to South Carolina. It's very tragic. I just wanted to ask you, early voting was kind of weak, 160,000. That hurts Eric Adams, right?
Look, it hurts all of us. Yeah, forget the election. I used to be the chairman of the New York State Reform Party, an independent most of my life. People have got to vote. I understand in this city, if more people come out to vote,
You're more important than
my over-under point spread becomes even more distant.
Unbelievable.
I would much rather see more people voting. People died for that privilege that we don't take advantage of. So even though there's, I believe, an 8-to-1 differential between registered Democrats and Republicans with a growing number of independents, I want to see people vote. I want to see more candidates in the races. We had third-party candidates who got little, if any, attention. They should have been on the debate stage. We should have had more debates. There should be more interaction with the public. That's what democracy is about, even if I lose.
Do you plan to
That's
vote?
democracy.
Do you plan to vote for any Democrats today?
Well, I can't vote for Gail Brewer against my wife.
No, not that. Obviously not that race, but others. Obviously not that race. Other races.
No.
Curtis, you just said you didn't initially plan to run as mayor. It seems like you just want to serve the city, really. So what if they don't elect you to become mayor? How would you go forward? How would you continue helping the city?
Well, number one, if I'm lucky enough to become mayor on day number one, I'm not doing what Eric Adams said he would do, which is like, oh, I just won the Super Bowl. I'm going to Disney World. In a sense, he says he's going to Florida, and from there he's doing the hop, skip, and a jump to Puerto Rico for the Somos Conference, which is just where all the lobbyists offshore get to wine dine you, pocket line you, and then the DR. I mean, hell, this city is falling apart. The mayor needs to be here and not in City Hall, in the boroughs, especially the outer boroughs. And whoever it is that I choose as police chief, man or woman, they're not staying in one police plaza. Out of the Eagle's Nest and start visiting your precincts and looking at what your men and women in the department have to undergo on a regular basis and lift their morale, because I'll be doing that too.
But would you continue lead the Garden Angels? The Garden Angels, what would happen to them if you win or not win?
The Guardian Angels will be led by someone else. It's a non-profit. It exists in 13 countries, 130 cities. I have a lot of capable senior leaders. They'll be able to guide them, but I have to hang up the beret. No longer be wearing the beret. In fact, I got to get used to this. I got to grow some hair, because that's part of the reason I always wear the red beret. So actually, becoming mayor and saving New York City is more important than wearing this red beret. Far more important than wearing this red beret.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to go in?
Got my vote. So you can't bring the cat inside. You have to leave it
How come they gave us the opportunity to do that last week for early vote?
Don't know. I wasn't here. You can't bring the cat inside.
Wow. You're
You
not
got
very,
enough people to hand me
I don't understand, but you're not very animal friendly here. Do you have rules that you could show me that?
Sure, there's signs all over the place. No pets in the building.
Oh, I see. I see, okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry, sir.
Thank you, Jeff.